Now, on the subject of broken railway infrastructure, we take a look at the impact it has on the economy. And joining us is the CEO of Antswisa Management Group, Miyelani Mkhabela. Miyelani, thank you so much for your time. We've heard different views, both from the Road Freight Association, including Transnet Freight. And depending on who you ask, the picture seems to be doom and gloom. But in your view, the impact that the failing rail infrastructure has on the economy, what does it look like?
One of the critical impacts that the South African rail system had as a challenge is that of infrastructure maintenance and modernization. That is the first impact. And I think whether it can be globally and locally, public sector struggles much with infrastructure maintenance and modernization. And I think this is the main challenge for Transnet as well. The second challenge being corruption that we have seen both Transnet and PRASA being involved in the State Capture Commission. So there is a point to say the board of PRASA and the board of Transnet really need to be a strategic board that has or that uphold the values to lead the institutions, values of good governance and accountability, so that everyone who trades with the state-owned enterprise do it according to the rules that are expected. But when you look on Transnet, so like Transnet is the largest railroad system covering a huge mark of like around 220 million tons transporting a year. So you can't look at that as something that the road transport will manage to do.
Yes.
And then when you look on...
so Miyelani, earlier on when we spoke to Unite Behind, and they were saying, similarly to what you are just raising, the fact that there has been impunity in areas where they try and correct, and they have interventions, including litigating with the Department of Transport on certain givings, or rather commitments that they had reneged on, made a U-turn, etc. So you say, the Commission of Inquiry or State Capture Inquiry, that in itself is still perpetuating, the sense that there is lawlessness or general corruption with impunity. What's your view?
So the recommendations are there that have been tabled by the State Capture Commission on how probably the proceedings must take place. But it is upon the other, justice systems that have to take over the cases and make sure that they whether convict or do whatever is expected with the culprits. But I think one of the things that I was indicating when it comes to that is the chairperson of the boards, of the SOE boards, needs to be people that are really on their own standing. They are corrupt-free. You cannot really have someone that moves from another entity. Let's say moving from PRASA. PRASA has had so much cases that, you can say, where was the chairperson when these things happened? But you find the very same chairperson being appointed elsewhere as the chairperson of a state-owned entity. I feel that is wrong. Because such a chairperson was supposed to be looked at, and then they give other people a chance, because the very same thing will happen under his parenting. And as well, the board members that probably had such a situation, they have to be marked, because it is part of their CV wherever they go. So they were not supposed to be prioritized again. And we have other people that will really uphold good governance and accountability.
Yes, and Miyelani, I think that the issue around reputational risk has been seen in the grey listing, that South Africa has lost its prestige amongst the G7 or international investors in particular. But when it comes to the rands and cents, if we were to qualify or quantify the amount of money that is being lost, not only on FDIs or just the efficiency of the system or the economy, what are we talking about? How much does the failed rail infrastructure cost the economy?
So we speak about Transnet alone taking down about 35% of its system of operation. So 35%, then you have to calculate 35% against the 220 million tons. So which means you are supposed to be speaking about 100 and it can be 160 million tons probably of freight like transport that they can do a year, which then decreases the operation, and then the cost of manufacturing and mining then will go high because the transportation becomes like heavy. But in all this, it's not something that the road transport or the truck system can manage to do, because in 2010, when we were at the chamber, at the Johannesburg Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we had a conference 2010, and in that conference, we were speaking about the interventions and mechanisms that are needed to reduce road tracking system, because it damages the roads and it makes maintenance to be very high. And that, 10 years or 12 years like later, I have seen Mpumalanga by Middelburg where the mines are located. So maintaining those roads is very difficult. And what we need is to make sure that we maintain freight and rail and freight like infrastructure so that we can be in a position to transport goods in a cost-effective way, and as well not really damaging the roads, because there is public transport that goes there. It can be the taxis that are small vehicles and other luxurious cars that needs to use the roads. And then the relationships of the trucks, big trucks being packed in the roads, is not really, it's too risky for small cars or small commercial cars like operators.
Miyelani, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate you joining us on this Monday morning. He is the CEO of Antswisa Managing Group, Miyelani Mkhabela, reacting to our focus on the failed rail infrastructure.